Welcome to the Dashboard, powered by Nissan. I'm Dan Sloan in Shanghai, China. This week we are at the auto show in the world's biggest auto market. Some 800,000 people will attend this event with over 1,300 new models and concept cars on display. In this program, we're going to give you some of the highlights of the show, as well as the people behind those cars on display.
Automakers are offering a cornucopia of choice for Chinese consumers and enthusiasts at Asia's top auto show in Shanghai. For Nissan, the China-centric Friend Me concept is the product of deep market research and consumer-tailored design by a Beijing-based team looking to create a car for a generation. Nissan Executive Vice President Andy Palmer says Friend Me is as tech-savvy and modern as the young Chinese consumer it's designed for.
Well, it doesn't come any more Chinese than this. This is about a car exclusively focused on the bilingual generation. This is the generation that, of course, is the product of the single child policy in China.
The Nuxia, the local brand for Dongfeng Nissan, pushed its eco-friendly lineup at the Shanghai show, as well as its plans for electric vehicle leadership ahead. Ren Yong, Vice President of Dongfeng Nissan, says the brand has a roadmap to be China's premier EV automaker.
During the latter half of this year, we will introduce a batch of Venucia electric vehicles to Guangzhou, Dalian, and other cities. Through such promotions, we hope to introduce our electric cars in large scale to the market by 2015.
Some 800,000 visitors are expected at the Shanghai Auto Show, where more than 2,000 exhibitors have their best and brightest on display, from high-end to low, from practical people mover to excessive exuberance. Industry analyst Michael Dunn says China is one of the most crowded auto markets in the world, with growth still coming in the foreseeable future, but some consolidation of players on the horizon.
Yeah, we're looking for consolidation. Far too many brands, more brands here available by far than anywhere else in the world, including the United States. What's kept them around is that the market's been so sensational that you didn't have to be great to stay in the game. As capacity kicks in and the rates of growth slow, we're going to see the weaker players get forced out.
In a nation of 1.4 billion people, garnering even a small share of business can still be lucrative. But with taxes high on imports, localization is an imperative. Estimates are for nearly 20 million cars to be built this year in China, meaning a slice of the $1.3 trillion market will certainly have a Chinese flavor.
When the people start coming into Auto Shanghai 2013 17 exhibition halls, you really get a sense of what this market is all about. Some 20 million cars will be made in China this year, and that is for a market worth $1.3 trillion. Automakers are elbow to elbow trying to get their share of that China market. And to give us a better perspective of what's going on here at Shanghai, we spoke with Nissan's Francois Bancon.
So in Shanghai 2013, a big show, more than 2,000 exhibitors, most of them Chinese local maker, that sometimes we can't even read the name because it's in Chinese. And then the foreigner make, which are basically half of the market. So once again, a big show, many people, very busy, very noisy, very dirty somehow. So here we are on Mini. There is nothing, they don't have any new product. What is interesting, they based their communication on Cooper. So they are pushing the kind of exciting, sporty execution on the whole lineup. The 6 models are all Cooper made, and it looks like they are repositioning Mini in a more, let's say, exciting or sporty or performance part of the story. Okay, so BMW, the X4, which is a new generation crossover, kind of derivative of the X3, a lot of carryover part, but following the direction they had on the X6, which is a very successful model within the BMW lineup. BMW is not the mass market brand, but within the premium brand, they are doing very well with this car. So they come up with this idea, which is very well known, even with kind of carryover from X3. It looks very different, more sporty, more egoistic somehow, which is a tendency BMW going to push on the performance side, which is a BMW DNA and territory. Only in China, well, their own Volvo, as we know, and this is a kind of tentative, it's a concept car, tentative to raise up the price of the lineup. They used to be very cheap. They try to attack, let's say, the foreign brand with more luxury model, more bigger, big powertrain. Is it a collaboration with Volvo or not? I don't know. Probably some kind of collaboration. It's a good-looking car. So Buick, General Motors, one of the key players in China, sometime number one, sometime number two, they are fighting with Volkswagen and Audi basically. Very, very dynamic company in China, more than any other country, under the Buick brand name. One of the biggest players, at least foreign brand, totally localized, manufacturer in China, engineer in China, a very good brand in China, very high value, and they came out with this kind of crossover execution, which is made for China in China. As you can see, the size has nothing to do with the US market, who used to be the inspiration for General Motors. It's very well known, very compact, probably going to be a big hit in a young generation, a different way to capture the post-80 generation, with something a little bit leisure-oriented, more SUV-like, if we can say this, in this market. MG, what is interesting, it's a very famous British brand, which is now Chinese. I had to come in Shanghai to understand what MG means, and it says Maurice Garage. And that's kind of funny to have this in China, a very British heritage. Well, the lineup is not that interesting. We don't need to comment too much on it.
China is the world's largest auto market, and global automakers are lining up in Shanghai to put their best and newest models on display to try to grab a piece of a market that grew over 20% in the first quarter of the year.
Before we go this week, let's look at some of the sights and sounds of Shanghai.